Once upon a time, in the kingdom of Ilan, there lived a young prince named Adamu. All his life, Prince Adamu had stayed within the grand palace walls. He spent his days studying, training, and dreaming of the day he would become king. The villagers had heard of him, but few had ever seen his face. King Alade, Adamu's father, was a wise and just ruler. However, he had grown old and sick. The kingdom knew that soon Adamu would take his place on the throne, but not everyone was happy about this. Queen Bola, the king's second wife, had different plans. She was ambitious and cunning. She wanted the throne for herself, not for Adamu. She believed she could rule the kingdom better and gain power and riches beyond her dreams. One night, as the king lay in his bed, too weak to speak, Queen Bola hatched a plan. She called for her most trusted advisors and began plotting against Prince Adamu.
We cannot let Adamu become king,
she whispered.
The people don't even know him. It will be easy to convince them that he is not fit to rule.
The advisors nodded in agreement, their eyes gleaming with greed. Meanwhile, in his room, Prince Adamu had no idea of the danger that awaited him. He was busy studying maps and books, preparing himself for the great responsibility of being a king. His loyal friend and guide, Kola, noticed something was wrong. Your Highness, I have heard whispers in the palace. Kola said, we must be careful. Not everyone is happy about you becoming king. Adamu looked up, concern etched on his face. What should we do, Kola? First, we must find out what Queen Bola is planning, Kola replied, and then we must be ready to act. Days passed and King Alade's health worsened. The kingdom held its breath, waiting for the inevitable news, and in the shadows, Queen Bola and her advisors prepared to seize the throne. As the sun set over the kingdom of Ilan, Prince Adamu knew that his life was about to change forever. He just did not know how much danger he was truly in. That night, Prince Adamu was fast asleep when danger crept into the palace. Men dressed in black, sent by Queen Bola, sneaked into his room. They had one mission: to unalive the prince, but they did not expect Kola, the loyal guide, to be ready. As the men in black moved closer to Adamu's bed, Kola jumped out from the shadows. He fought them fiercely, his sword clashing against theirs. "Run, your highness!" Kola shouted. "Run and don't look back." Prince Adamu woke up. With a start, he saw the men attacking Kola and realized the danger. Without wasting a moment, he grabbed a small bag containing his late mother's belongings. His heart pounded as he ran out of the room. The men in black were skilled fighters, but Kola was determined. He fought bravely, giving everything he had to protect the prince. He managed to wound one of the attackers and push the others back. This gave Adamu the time he needed to escape. Adamu ran through the dark corridors of the palace, clutching the bag tightly. He could hear the sound of fighting behind him, but he did not stop. He reached a small door that led to the outside. Pushing it open, he fled into the night. Outside the palace, the prince ran as fast as he could. His feet pounded on the ground, and his breath came in gasps. He did not know where he was going, but he knew he had to get far away. Suddenly, he felt a sharp pain in his side. He looked down and saw that he was bleeding. One of the attackers must have hit him before he escaped, but there was no time to think about the pain. Adamu kept running, the bag with his mother things bouncing against his back. Tears streamed down his face, but he wiped them away. He had to stay strong. Back in the palace, Kola was still fighting. He knew he couldn't win, but he had to make sure Adamu had enough time to get away. Finally, when he couldn't fight anymore, Kola fell to the ground and pretended to be dead. The men in black stood over him, checking to see if he was really unalive. Leave him, the leader said. The job is done. The prince won't survive out there on his own. The men left the palace, believing their mission was complete. The leader took out his phone and made a call. It is done, he said. The prince is gone. In the darkness outside the palace was Prince Adamu kept running. He did not know what the future held, but he knew he had to survive for his father, for Kola, and for the kingdom of Ilo.
Prince Adamu ran through the night, the pain in his side growing worse with each step. He had lost a lot of blood, and the world around him started to blur. He did not know how long he had been running, but he knew he couldn't stop. Finally, as the first light of dawn appeared, he stumbled into a small village far from the palace. His vision was fading, and his leg felt weak. He made it to the edge of the village before collapsing on the ground. Adamu's breathing was shallow. He could barely keep his eyes open. He needed help, but he was too weak to call out. Nearby, two sisters, Jumoke and Ronke, were on their way to gather firewood. They were chatting and laughing, enjoying the early morning. Suddenly, Jumoke stopped and pointed to the figure lying on the ground. Look, Ronke, there is someone over there. Jumoke said, her voice full of concern. She hurried over to the fallen prince, but Ronke grabbed her arm to stop her. Wait, Jumoke, Ronke said cautiously. We don't know who he is. It could be dangerous. Jumoke shook her head, pulling away from her sister. We can't just leave him here. He is hot. Ronke hesitated, but then she followed Jumoke to where Prince Adamu lay. They knelt beside him, and Jumoke gently touched his shoulder. Are you okay? She asked softly. Adamu tried to speak, but his voice was weak. Help, please, he managed to say before his eyes closed. We have to get him to our house, Jumoke said firmly. He needs help, or he might unalive. Ronke looked around nervously. What if someone comes looking for him? We could get into trouble. We can't think about that now, Jumoke replied. He needs us. Together, the sisters carefully lifted Adamu and carried him to their small house on the edge of the village. It was hard work, and they had to stop several times to rest, but finally they made it home. Their mother, Amina, was surprised to see them struggling with the wounded stranger. What happened? She asked, rushing to help them. We found him in the wood, Jumoke explained quickly. He is badly hurt. Mama, we couldn't leave him there. Amina looked at the unconscious prince and then at her daughters. You did the right thing, she said. Quickly, lay him down here. They placed Adamu on a mat in the corner of the room. Amina got to work, cleaning his wound and bandaging it as best as she could. He's lost a lot of blood, she said, worry in her voice. We need to let him rest. For the next few days, Jumoke and Ronke took turns watching over Adamu. They brought him water and tried to get him to eat, though he was still too weak to do much. Slowly, he began to regain his strength. One morning, as the sun filtered through the small window, Adamu opened his eyes. He saw Jumoke sitting nearby, watching him with a kind smile. You are awake, she said, relief flooding her face. How do you feel? Adamu tried to sit up, but whined in pain. Better, he said softly. Thank you for saving me. Jumoke shook her head. You don't need to thank us. We are just glad you are alive. Can you tell us who you are? Adamu looked at her, uncertainty in his eyes. He knew he couldn't reveal his true identity. Not yet. My name is Adamu, he said simply. I was attacked and had to run. I don't know what to do now. Jumoke nodded, understanding his fear. You can stay here and rest until you are strong enough to decide. You are safe with us. As Adamu lay back down, he felt a sense of gratitude and hope. He had found safety for now, but he knew he couldn't stay hidden forever. He had to find a way to reclaim his place and save his kingdom from Queen Bola.
In the palace of Ilon, King Alade had been showing signs of recovering. His strength was slowly returning, and he was beginning to speak and move a little more each day. This improvement worried Queen Bola. She knew that if the king regained his health, her plans would be run. Determined to keep her power, she started slipping a dangerous substance into the king's food and drink, making him weaker each day. Meanwhile, in the small village, Prince Adamu was slowly recovering. Jumoke and Ronke, along with their mother Amina, took care of him. Adamu was grateful for their kindness but kept his true identity a secret. He knew that revealing himself could put them all in danger. One evening, as the family sat around the small fire, Adamu shared more of his story. I was attacked in the palace, he said, his voice low. I had to run for my life. I can't go back until I know it is safe. Jumoke looked at him with concern. Do you think the people who attack you will come looking for you here? Adamu shook his head. I hope not, but I must be careful. I can't let them find me. As Adamu regained his strength, he began to help the family with their daily tasks. He collected firewood with Ronke and fetched water with Jumoke. He was grateful for their help, but he couldn't stop thinking about his father and his kingdom. One day, as Adamu and Ronke were gathering firewood, they heard voices nearby. They hid behind a tree and saw two men in black, the same kind who had attacked Adamu in the palace. The men were speaking in low voices. Queen Bola is not happy, one of them said. The king is still alive, but barely. She is making sure he stays weak, and the prince is vanished. The other man nodded. We need to find him. Queen Bola wants to make sure he is gone for good. Adamu heart raced. He knew he had to act fast. He and Ronke waited until the men left before returning to the village. Adamu quickly gathered Jumoke and Amina. I have heard news, he said urgently. My father is still alive, but Queen Bola is keeping him weak, and those men are looking for me. I can't stay here any longer. It is too dangerous for all of you. Jumoke looked at him, her eyes wide with fear. What will you do? Adamu took a deep breath. I need to find a way back to the palace. I have to stop Queen Bola and save my father. Amina nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. We will help you, Adamu. You have been like a son to us, but you must be careful. That night, as the village slept, Adamu packed his things. He took the bag with his mother's belongings and some food that Amina had prepared for him. Jumoke and Ronke watched with tears in their eyes. Thank you for everything, Adamu said, his voice filled with emotion. I will never forget your kindness. Jumoke hugged him tightly. Be safe, Adamu. Come back to us when it is all over. Adamu nodded, determination in his eyes. I will. As he set out on the path back to the palace, Adamu knew the journey ahead would be dangerous. He had to be smart and brave. His kingdom depended on him. Back in the palace, Queen Bola was growing more desperate. The king's health was declining rapidly, but she couldn't shake the feeling that her plans were falling apart. She called for her most trusted advisor. Find the prince, she ordered. I don't care what it takes, he must not return. The advisor nodded and left to carry out her orders. As Adamu traveled through the night, he came across a hidden path that led to an old friend of his father, a wise man named Babatunde. Babatunde lived in a small hut on the edge of the forest. He was known for his wisdom and his knowledge of herbs and healing. Adamu approached the hut cautiously. Babatunde, it is me, Adamu, he called softly. The door opened, and an old man with kind eyes and a long white beard stepped out. Prince Adamu, what brings you here at this hour? Adamu quickly explained everything that had happened. Babatunde listened carefully, nodding his head. You have a difficult path ahead, my prince, but I will help you. We must find a way to stop Queen Bola and save your father. For the next few days, Babatunde and Adamu planned the next move. Babatunde taught Adamu about herbs that could counteract the poison Queen Bola was using. He also gave Adamu a clock that would help him move through the forest unnoticed. We will need allies, Babatunde said. They are still people loyal to your father. We must gather them and make them a stand. Adamu nodded, feeling a renewed sense of hope. Thank you, Babatunde. With your help, we can save my father and the kingdom. As they prepared to leave, Babatunde handed Adamu a small vial. This is a powerful antidote. Use it wisely. With new determination, Adamu set off with Babatunde by his side. The journey would long and dangerous, but Adamu was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. He had the support of his new family and the wisdom of Babatunde. He knew that with courage and determination, he could reclaim his throne and bring peace to Ilorin.